Everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just finished watching episode 9 of Marvel's What If, called What If the Watcher Broke His Oath. This is the season finale. I do believe there's going to be a season 2. I don't know if that's been officially announced or not, but based on the fact that there is an after credits sequence and it does seem to imply that these stories are going to continue, I have to assume that there's going to be a season 2. This last episode was where it got really epic. We had Infinity Ultron, or I don't know what the general consensus is on what we agreed to call this version of Ultron. I prefer Infinity Ultron. I think that's a better name. Anyways, but yeah, basically we had this Infinity Ultron fighting the Watcher, going through all these different dimensions, and then at the end he says, oh, I need this not evil, but Doctor Strange Supreme. I need his help. And so at the beginning of this episode, it was basically him rounding up a team, the multiverse Avengers, basically. It was a fun sequence of each of these worlds. Like, some of them are under attack by Ultron already, others are dealing with their own situation, and basically he rounds them all up, and they come up with a plan to basically go to a world where there's no intelligence. Thus Ultron will not even bother showing up there because there's no intelligent life at all. And then when they're ready, they're going to attract him, which they kind of have some fun back and forths between the whole team. And of course they Party Thor, because he doesn't pay attention to what he's doing, and he even says he's good at attracting unwanted attention or something. So he ends up basically attracting Ultron to that universe early, but they get in a big fight, and their whole plan is that this version of Gamora managed to defeat her Thanos because they had some machine called the Infinity Stone Crusher or something like that. It's literally just a little robot that would walk up to you and I guess crush the Infinity Stones into dust. I guess sort of atomize them like Thanos did eventually anyways. So not a bad plan, right? Turn them into atoms. It's harder to collect them if they're atoms, right? So that's ultimately their plan. And Doctor Strange, or Supreme Strange, or that guy, he ends up cloaking everyone in this magical shield, right? This protective barrier that is around them for the entire episode. And essentially this barrier that he puts around everyone, it is the only reason that they are able to last more than 5 seconds against this version of Ultron, because he even says at one point, it's like, I can destroy entire universes. Well, how are you not dead? And basically, it takes them a while to figure it out, which is kind of surprising, but it's like, yeah, they're only alive because whenever they get thrown through buildings, it's because they have this barrier around them, which actually lets them be able to fight this guy. Surprisingly, because I want to talk about the team for a minute, they didn't, the Watcher didn't grab any Captain Marvels, which I think is surprising given what we've seen Captain Marvel do in this show. I would think that you would grab at least 2 or 3 Captain Marvels on this team. So to not have any at all, to not have someone that could conceivably at least last a handful of seconds naturally just on their own without a magical barrier, I don't know. That was an interesting choice. If I was the Watcher, I'd be like, okay, we're gonna get at least 2 or 3 Captain Marvels, obviously, and hey, you know what? Let's get a handful of Doctor Stranges, because he seems to be, this one here became multiverse powerful Doctor Strange, but let's go and grab a couple other Doctor Stranges as well. I would start doing stuff like that. And then Tony Stark, he made Ultron, maybe he'll be useful. Let's grab some Tony Starks, but he didn't grab any Tony Starks and no Captain Marvels, and it was kind of surprising because I was like, oh, all right, okay, I'm fine, I guess. Party Thor, I'm not sure what makes him unique. It feels like a lot of these characters were only there because we've seen their episodes and they didn't really have any other reason to be there. Like Party Thor, he's just a normal Thor as far as I'm aware. He might even be not as strong as normal Thor, because he's not like a warrior type. He's just like a kind of more relaxed guy. So I don't know. It was interesting, some of the team choices here, but okay. Also, the zombies. We sat through a whole zombies episode, and there is a moment when Doctor Strange opens a portal and all the zombies come through, and Thor's like, "Oh, zombies, that's okay, that'll work, right? That'll buy us some time." And he's like, "Oh, it's not the zombies, it's what came with the zombies." And I was so sure because they teased this at the end of the episode, that zombie Thanos, who had 5 of the Infinity Stones by the end of the episode, the zombie episode, I was so sure he was gonna show up, and that would buy them time, because that makes sense, right? Get the Thanos with the Infinity Stones to fight the Ultron with the Infinity Stones. But no, so it was just Scarlet Witch, who didn't, even then I was like, okay, Scarlet Witch, she's supposed to be like, the Scarlet Witch. Maybe this will be some kind of awesome multiverse Scarlet Witch epic showdown here. But no, she didn't seem to last for more than a couple seconds, and then Ultron just left. So I was kind of confused by some of the decisions made here. Like if I'm writing this show, I've set I've set up a zombie Thanos that has Infinity Stones. You would think he'd be the one that comes through the portal there, or Scarlet Witch, being she's already been set up in her own show, in WandaVision. She's already been set up to be like even more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme, so it's like, why is zombie Scarlet Witch not epic powerful right now? Why did she only last like a second? So I just got some questions here. Like, there's just some decisions that I don't quite understand. But early on they managed to get the Soul Stone away from Ultron, which good, try and get as many of those stones away as you can, but that didn't seem to like slow him down at all, really. Like, he was still able to jump from multiverse to multiverse. He was still able to like basically destroy them all with no problem, right? He was just throwing them around the whole episode. So I don't know, I thought that would like limit his power somehow if he was down an Infinity Stone, but it didn't really seem to. And I guess I get that, because the Soul Stone is the more vague, like, as to what it actually does. Of all the stones, that's the one that it's like, I guess it just goes to the soul realm, I guess, maybe. That seems to be all that stone does. But yeah, overall the fight was pretty cool. A lot of the fighting was interesting, and of course they hint pretty early on, and of course it happens. Eric Killmonger betrays the group. So basically what happens is that they're all fighting Ultron, and they find one last arrow that has Zola on it, which we saw that was set up in that other episode. Interestingly enough, the Zola drone, I didn't see him, and I thought he was still around, unless he got destroyed and I don't remember it. But they had put Zola inside of a drone, but that didn't seem to come back up, which I kind of thought it would. But they have an arrow that still has Zola in it, and basically they managed to hit Ultron in the eye with it, and Zola, I don't know if he outright deleted Ultron or just managed to beat him in that moment, but we see the Ultron who, we confirmed in the last episode that this Ultron is the like mainframe, so it's like he couldn't just jump to a different Ultron, really. So we see him collapse on the ground, and then Killmonger, this is when he decides to betray the group. He had taken a Ultron head earlier, and he used that to somehow control the nanobites and make himself a suit of Ultron armor. And he had all the stones for like a second, and it's like, oh damn, he's gonna betray the group. He didn't outright try to kill everybody. He just tried to convince everyone that like, no, this is what, we deserve this. We can fix our universes with the Infinity Stones. And then of course Zola wakes, he stands up, and now he's in the Ultron body, and he's even got like the classic like Zola giant head in the chest thing, which is a thing in the comics. He's supposed to have like this giant face in his chest. Robot Zola. And so they're both just kind of battling for the Infinity Stones. They're kind of doing like a force pull at the same time, and the Infinity Stones are trying to go both ways, because I guess they both kind of control the nanobites that are holding the Infinity Stones. I don't know. It was a little unclear, especially how Killmonger's controlling them. How did he control that helmet? I don't know. Somehow he managed to control it all. Anyways, and yeah, it basically ends with Doctor Strange realizing that their whole purpose here was just to separate the stones and defeat Ultron. So they trapped them inside a tiny little bubble prism that Doctor Strange himself was trapped in for when at the end of his episode. So they trap him in there, and the Watcher is basically like, okay, you're gonna watch this from now on. Just like, this is your job. You have nothing else to do, right? And so it kind of ends on a sinister note, almost like Doctor Strange is up to something. And then yeah, basically everyone goes back to their worlds, except for this version of Black Widow, because she was the last human being alive on her world. So the Watcher, at first he's like, oh, I can't interfere, but when he sends her back to the world, it's a version of the world that had lost their Black Widow. Which I almost thought maybe that would imply was our world, like our main MCU, because we did lose our Black Widow. But no, it doesn't seem to be that way. And then at the very end, at the post credits, basically they discover that we're back with Captain Carter. They're on the ship from Winter Soldier, and this one has Steve on it, or in the Hydra Crusher, and they're like, oh, Steve's inside. And that's kind of like a setup to, I guess, a season 2 of this show. Maybe there's all kinds of rumors that Captain Carter might be coming live action, and she might show up in Multiverse of Madness and all kinds of stuff like that. Which, I hope that all of this, everything that happened here, does not become just like inconsequential. I hope that Multiverse of Madness, the next Doctor Strange, which is along with Far From or No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, is supposed to be heavy multiverse, messy dealings with. So I hope something from this show carries over to that. I hope that all of this, everything, all the craziness we just saw, has some kind of consequence at the end of it. Maybe Strange Supreme does get the Infinity Stones out of that bubble or something. I don't know, because I gotta be honest, we're left with an Eric Killmonger and a Zola Ultron. I would have much preferred they found a way to just capture normal Ultron, Infinity Ultron, and then get the stones away from him or something. Like, I feel like that would have been a better, like, looming threat that could escape from his prison at any moment, because right now we just, like, the only threat we have in that little prison is Eric Killmonger and Zola, which I don't think those two feel as threatening as an Ultron felt, so I don't know. I hope this Ultron's not like dead. He's still somewhere in that armor or something. But yeah, overall, I don't know if this one, I'm not gonna say that I'm like disappointed in the episode, because it is pretty much what I expected to happen, I guess. But I also was not as like surprised, and I don't feel like I had any moments where I'm like, whoa, like last episode I had a bunch of those moments where I'm like, oh my god, that was crazy, things just ramped up. Whereas this episode, I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. This is pretty much how I thought it was gonna go. There was one moment that I had to like rewatch over and over again because I feel like I completely missed what happened. So at some point in the fight, they had the Soul Stone knocked out, and it's just sliding around on the ground, and Ultron attacks them all with a giant explosion. And then the next thing we see, the next shot, is the explosion going back in, and then we see Doctor Strange holding something in his palm, and it's like glowing yellow, and then we see him just swallow whatever this thing was in his hand. And when I first watched this, I thought that he had swallowed the Soul Stone, but then for the rest of the episode, the Soul Stone is still like on the ground, and they're all chasing the Soul Stone. And so I had to like rewind it a bunch of times to realize, like, oh no, he swallowed the explosion. That's what happened. Like, Ultron set up this giant explosion, and then Doctor Strange just like basically shrunk it down and ate it. That's what happened. So I don't know why. I feel like the editing was a little strange, because I don't know. We saw the Soul Stone on the ground. The Soul Stone's yellow, and I thought he ate the Soul Stone. But no, that's not what happened. But yeah, overall, this definitely feels like a to be continued kind of thing. You know, it's like, okay, we stopped the threat for now, but it feels more like we just kind of hit pause. And I'm absolutely sure there's going to be season 2. But I more than that though, I want some of this to have a consequence, you know? Like, there's a bunch of rumors about like Supreme Strange showing up, or Captain Carter showing up, or even some sort of Ultron showing up from this series in live action. But we don't have any solid evidence that that's gonna be the case. So yeah, I guess that's my only thing, is that like I want some kind of proof that this entire thing is not just inconsequential nothingness, you know, because it is supposed to be canon with the multiverse, you know, like this is supposed to actually be happening somewhere in the, you know, in the MCU. This is supposed to be like, yeah, this counts, this all happened in some universe somewhere, you know, the multiverse was in danger, the Watcher is watching the multiverse. So, you know, with them dealing with the multiverse, I hope that this matters, that this counts for something. I guess that's my really only worry, is that like you know, we watched Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and none of this is brought up, and none of this, you didn't need to watch any of this, you know, which would definitely, I feel like, lessen the impact of all this, because right now, you know, it feels like this is supposed to be very consequential, and introducing this version of Doctor Strange and this Omega Ultron type thing and all this stuff, it feels like it's supposed to matter. But I don't have any evidence that it does yet, so I don't know. But yeah, overall, I liked this ending fine. I was kind of waiting for another shoe to drop. I thought that this Doctor Strange was gonna turn evil on them, and then it was gonna leave off on this crazy cliffhanger, but it didn't really leave on much of a cliffhanger at all. Kind of just wrapped itself up and pressed pause on the big bad, and like, okay, I guess we're fine for now, you know. We'll see what happens. So I don't know. I'm gonna look up if they've already officially announced a season 2, or if that's something that they'll be doing later. But overall, I think the series was fine. If anything else, it introduced the whole multiverse concept to more general audiences even more. Because I feel like Marvel is worried that general audiences still don't get it. Because, you know, with the Loki and with this show, I feel like this is all like the warm-up to the actual movies, because the movies are going to start heavily dealing with multiverses, and I feel like they want to make really damn sure that general audiences, you know, like your mom and your dad or your grandparents, they want to make sure that everyone understands this concept, because if they don't understand this concept, then the next, you know, 3-4 Marvel movies aren't gonna make any damn sense to them, and that'll be a problem. So I you know, if anything, I feel like that's kind of what Marvel's trying to do here, is to like really nail this concept in to their brain. That way, if something doesn't make sense, it's like, oh, it's a multiverse, that's why, you know. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought, and yeah, I guess we'll be waiting for a season 2 or for something to happen in Multiverse of Madness next year. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Let me know what you guys thought, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.